Hello, and welcome back to Sisyphus on the Culture Cave. I'm here with Emmett. Say hi to the people, Emmett.
Hi to the people, Emmett. Wait, that's again, that's an old joke, but you can't help but love it.
So, yeah, those old ones, they keep coming back. They're golden. They're golden oldies, Emmett. They're golden oldies.
Well, I think we're becoming golden oldies with every passing day.
Yeah, well, especially with this conversation, we'll throw out some more throughout the episode if we can think of them. But so we had an interesting episode of Sisyphus this week. We're on to episode 6, so out of 16. So we're getting close to the halfway point. And I just want to say, things are hotting up. That's for sure.
Yes, definitely. This is an action-intense episode, and it's starting to reveal some stuff that we've actually been talking about before. So I'm excited to see where the show goes,
Yeah, it's awesome. So, guys, before we start, I forgot to do this last week, Emmett, but before we start, could you please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Every single Wednesday, we cover Sisyphus. We cover a load of other stuff on the channel. And if you are a listener of the best movie podcast ever, that is a critique and the name of the podcast, this week, or next week, I should say. No, this week. Yes, this week. This goes out on a Wednesday. So this Friday, in 2 days' time, Emmett will be joining Konrad and I, and we're going to be talking about movies so bad they're good.
Yes, a very favorite topic of mine that I'm very glad I'm going to get to talk to the boys about.
Yeah, and if you're a lover of dark, which most people who watch our Sisyphus thing are, you know as well that we are going to be having Emmett go through the go dark one season at a time in a few weeks. So that's sort of bringing him on the best movie podcast ever to get those juices flowing, get him ready to get into that, working out the technical difficulties and all that sort of thing of having 3 people on a podcast. Who knew there would be some, but there are. All right, Emmett. So this episode, I want to talk about, first of all, there's 2 main things I want to talk about. Anything else you want to throw in there, we can. We're not going to sit and talk about every nitty-gritty detail because this is a show that I don't think it demands every nitty-gritty detail. There's a lot of stuff that's done for style over substance, but there's a lot of substance too. So the first thing I want to talk about is the sequence where Hante Sul puts the little microphone / speaker in her ear, Hayes' ear, and sends her into a party as an American woman, I believe. They're talking about
Grace Park.
Grace Park, gonna send her in, and sort of this is this big shareholder meeting to celebrate the death of Hante Sul, and say and Edward is now the CEO. So first of all, overall impressions of this scene.
It was like we see this a lot in like films and TV shows, but it was nicely shot. Again, there was a lot of like moving through the crowd with her, and I quite liked. And there was a certain level of tension, especially because she wasn't necessarily sure why people were looking at her, and she was getting tense about it and such. And then there was the 2 sort of plot threads of like Hante Sul and Sohei. Like she's seeing Hante Sul's brother. He's, breaking into the house and, causing all sorts of havoc himself. So there's a lot of action going on there, which I quite liked.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Emmett, but every time we see the brother, right, I'm always wondering, is this actually real? Like, even though we were seeing him through Hayes' eyes, I was still like, is he really there? And this is like one of the first times. Now, maybe it's not the exact first time. We have seen him before since he's died, but this is the first proper time where someone's talked to him, and it's confirmation, 100% confirmation. He's still alive, and he doesn't actually die till he goes back in time and hits the plane.
Yeah, well, it's like he grabs her and moves her into the room. So it does seem to be him, and he seems to be hinting at the fact that he knows a lot more than she does, because he's trying to tell her to stay away from Hante Sul, otherwise, it's going to cause all sorts of trouble.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what does he know that she doesn't, and all that sort of stuff. So we now have confirmation that he's definitely alive, not just from Hante Sul's eyes, but from other people who can, whose sanity can be more clearly sort of established,
Yeah, and okay, so there's a lot more to talk about in this scene. I want to talk about the sniper. I want to talk about the bad guy, redemptive guy, who I can't actually remember his name again, but I'll find it in a minute. I want to talk about I wanted to also talk about this for a minute though. They made a decision, and they've done this a few times in the show. Let's be fair, but it makes they've made a decision to continually remind you through a flashback of the EMP device. Now, I'm sorry. I wasn't under the impression that, like, South Korean people needed this much leading by the hand. Like, they do it a lot, don't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, again, I feel this is like a very modern thing in shows as well. Like, I feel like a lot of Western shows have started doing this a lot more, where like they call back to scenes that were like earlier in the episode as like a flashback thing. And like, yeah, it's a little hand-holdy, whereas it's like, yes, we understand. We've seen the EMP device. We know it's the EMP device. We don't need to keep... Like, if the EMP device was like introduced maybe last episode or something like that, and it might have been a bit of time since the audience had seen it, I could maybe accept the flashbacks a bit more. But yeah, it's a little gratuitous, like you were saying.
There was two in this episode of the same moment.
Yeah, which I don't know. Maybe maybe the episode just came in a little bit short, and they needed to fill up a bit more time. They're like,
it was an hour. It was an hour and 17 minutes long.
But it needed to be a past 1:15. So like they kept on adding in flashbacks. I don't know. Again, it was very handholdy in a weird way.
Yeah.
I think the second one made a bit more sense. Like the first one is
we were at least in a different scene. We were at least in a different scene at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and at least because we'll get into it more, but like Han Tae-soo had been questioning his memories, and this was like a moment that like solidified for him that it's like, this all happened. I wasn't making this up. Like, this is real. Whereas the one with Sohei having the flashback as she's about to use it was very like, yeah, we were introduced to this device at the beginning of the scene.
Yeah, literally, it was 5 minutes. Okay, I'll accept maybe 7 minutes before we were introduced to this little EMP device. But, right, okay, well, when
the thing that kills me about that is that, like, they set that up as though they're trying to avoid like claims that the EMP device is a Deus Ex Machina. But you and I were talking about this. They immediately follow it up with like a much more egregious Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's like, that's actually true. You're exactly right. Yeah. They were building it up and then showed us the flashback to show, look, actually we did set this up. It's not
we established this. Don't worry, guys. And then and then it turns out the EMP does not work. Well, it does work. It works for like a second.
They had a backup generator,
Yeah, and it just comes back online. And then like our best bud from like the first couple of episodes comes flying in his new Ferrari that he's won with his lottery winnings. And like, it's like, get in, jump in. And it's like, the last time we seen him, he was at a train station. Why is he here?
Yeah.
How did he get here?
I want to know, how is he still alive? Because we know the Control Bureau tracks the lottery. So whenever they saw that he won, surely they would recognize that winner was the guy who was with Hay. You know?
It was a very weird one. Now, I was very happy to see him back. I do really like that dude. He's a lot of fun to have. It was just kind of like, I don't know, maybe you and I just both missed it, but there was like, to my mind, no hints of him being there. Like no moment where like we seen like a mysterious shadow in the background that could have been him or something like that.
Was he tracking her? Like what? Was he? Oh, maybe he's a new shareholder of Quantum and Time because he's a lottery winner now.
Yeah, maybe
we've done it. We put it together.
If that turns out to be the case, fair enough. I would accept that. It does feel like a complete Deus Ex Machina, but I suppose if you just won the lottery and you just find out that time travel is going to be a thing, you probably would put stocks in a company that made time travel.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
This has been another one of our, time travel finance courses. If you come back in time, put money in the company that makes time travel.
Yeah,
it succeeds.
Yeah, that actually is the perfect thing to do. But okay, so it's so interesting, like, because we just spent 2 or 3 minutes there laughing about this. But this show is really weird. Like talking about movies so bad they're good. Yeah. Half of this show is that, like, it's really not lazily done. It's like they just throw the safeties off, like the training wheels off, and they're like, let's just do whatever we want. Sometimes they fall over, sometimes they don't. It is in the realm of so bad it's good for me, but at the same time they have parts of the episode which genuinely are so good they're good. So there's not really a moment where I think it's so bad it's bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like tune in obviously for our discussion on the podcast, but I think we'll definitely end up probably having a conversation about earnestness
Yeah.
when it comes to like so bad it's good films. Because like with a lot of the best so bad it's good quality, there's an earnest attempt to make something great, but that's the dismount that maybe doesn't like, or there's something wrong with the whole production. And like there's like things go wrong, but there's an honest attempt to try and make something great. And I feel that's something I can say about Sisyphus. Like they're trying their absolute best, and sometimes they absolutely nail great scenes, and then other times it is just bonkers. Like we said, like the plane crash, like our best buddy driving up in a Ferrari to save us last minute. There's lots of little bits where it's just like so weird.
Yeah.
But like there's always that earnest attempt to make a good show. So I can always respect them for that,
Yeah, exactly. And I will say I am enjoying it very much so. So, okay. The next thing I want to talk about is they did this thing where he got injected in the neck, and then all of a sudden he woke up. It was August 19th, and he was back in time. They were trying to convince him he was back in time. And there's a lot of talk here. Okay, so eventually it's revealed, obviously, that this was all part of the plan. They changed the book to say they changed the chart to say the date. Eddie Kim isn't really in with it. Like he doesn't really. I don't think he really fully understands. There's definitely, he does understand they're trying to trick him, I think, because they're changing the dates. And there was the conversation about the date in front of him. So he definitely knows more than maybe they were letting on that he knows. But I think.
So we find out that his girlfriend and Huntesu's ex-girlfriend is basically working with the Control Bureau.
Yeah, and she's the daughter. She's the daughter of the boss guy.
Yeah, the daughter. I think that had been established before, but maybe we'd forgotten.
Yeah.
But they're working with the Control Bureau because her mother, his wife, is sick, and they need medicines that are only available in the future.
Yeah.
To treat her. So like that's why they're doing this. So from what I understood the episode, like Eddie Kim is aware of the fact that they were tricking Huntesu, but he was under the impression that it was a type of therapy to try and like get his mental illness and stuff like that under control. Whereas like she is aware of the fact that they're just trying to like trick him, but she's taking part in it because she's trying to save her mother. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand that. Like, when someone you love is in danger, a lot of times morality kind of goes out the window to a certain extent. So I am somewhat sympathetic on that front. It was a very weird plan of like making him like think that the entire last week was like a fabrication, and like that he had all sort of made it up. It's like that feels like that was like the weirdest way to have that plan happen. But I suppose maybe that was the best way that they can handle it. Again, it's a very convoluted thing because they have to like set up so much stuff to like make it seem like he was back in time, and that they had to like inject him and knock him out and make him think more time had passed. It's a very complicated plan, and it almost kind of worked because like we see through the episode that Huntesu starts to doubt himself, which is it's very interesting. Like,
I think it is interesting. I think it doesn't really. I liked it. I liked that they sort of tried to trick us into thinking there was these alternate timelines going on. But the thing is, what I thought was a bit strange is the Control Bureau, 100% all the time, understand that. Or not. Sorry, I don't know. I went down the wrong path there. But what I mean is, the Control Bureau have shown that they literally are kind of torturing people and locking them in cages. And I don't really understand that. Why they took this tact with Huntesu. Like why didn't they just why maybe it's because they Eddie wouldn't have let them. I don't know why he would have a say, but why don't they just throw him in a cage? Don't tell the Control Bureau how to do their job, but throw him in a cage, torture him, get the information.
It might be because another thing that sort of came out this episode that had been sort of potentially hinted at by the title of the show and some stuff that had happened is this idea that like all of this is part of like a plan or all part of a large thing. So maybe they still need Huntesu for something. Maybe he still needs to like figure out one part of developing the time travel yet, so they can't get rid of him. They need to do all this because we go back because our sniper fellow, I've got his name here, Jung Hee Ji, he was taking the shot and stuff like that. But like he was unable to kill Sohei because of our Deus Ex Machina and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Control Bureau guy came up to him and revealed a file telling him that that they knew it was going to fail.
Expected to
So it's
fail.
like, expected to fail. So it's like, are they aware that like of all these events already and are just playing through these events knowing that they need to do it? Because then we also got like a scene at the end with this like Matrix architect fella, who was like watching all these screens with Hante Soul's brother.
Yeah.
And like the moment that Sohei and Hante Soul unite after, he he finds the EMP device, confirms that it's all the stuff that he had seen was real and escapes. That was the flashback that we felt was like a little bit more understandable because it had a little bit of pathos from earlier in the episode.
Is that Sigma? Do you think is that Sigma?
I think I think either part of Sigma or Sigma themselves, but like they seem to be, because like Sigma had like the moment where Hante Soul and Sohei unite, he's like, oh, I love this bit. This is always the best bit. So romantic.
Yeah, he's watching it over again.
Like implying that he's seen it repeatedly and that he's been through this over and over. Yeah. So it's like, what's like, are they like, is this all part of like the loop, like the rolling the boulder up the hill? Because we seem to be getting into that bit now, this idea of like futility to a certain extent, because it's like it's all going apart to this guy's plan. Like he seems completely calm, in control. He has Hante Soul's brother tied up on a chair and is basically mocking him. And because it's great because that little moment of like Hante Soul and Sohei uniting is such a little triumphant moment for them. Such a nice, and then you pull back and you see that like the bad guys watching it being like, good, everything's still going according to plan.
I like it. It's kind of like Inspector Gadget Claw,
yeah. Oh my god, I just give him a wee cat. Like stroking. That'd be great.
All right, last thing, I'll ask you a question. The guy at the start in the underground subway station, which Hante Soul's brother, who I always forget the name of, because even the way Hante Soul says it is very quick. Taesun. Do you think, now I this is my theory, I think that the man who traveled back in time was Hante Soul. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could be Hante Soul, considering that they were hiding the face of him, and because, his brother reacted so extremely.
Okay, here's another bigger theory then. Is Sigma an older Hante Soul?
Ooh, that would be very cool. That would be very cool. I would like that. I don't know yet. I think we need a little bit more information. If it does, fair play on calling that, because that is a good. Though to be fair, we've been theorizing that Hante Soul is going to be several people in the timeline.
Yeah, he's going to be everyone. He's going to be everyone.
That'll be the reveal. Hante Soul, this whole world doesn't have people in it other than Hante Soul. He just keeps going back in time and becoming all these different people. And playing like this.
Actually, that reminds me of a Isaac Asimov short story where a person lives a life and then they sort of go into sort of the afterlife. I haven't read it for a few years, so I don't know the exact terminology, everything. But then they get sent back to Earth to live another life, and they say only when it's like a god talking to them, and it's like only when you've lived every life of every human on Earth will you become me. It's so cool.
Wow, that is beautiful in a weird way.
Yeah. It's really cool.
I might want to track down that story. That's
I'll link it to you. Actually, I'll link it in the description if I can find it, guys.
Yes.
If you're interested too. All right, thanks very much for listening, guys. We come back next week for episode 7. I am at the point now with the show where I almost really want to know what's going on. I want all the pieces to be in place. It's only a 1 season thing, so we are going to get them, thankfully. So, Emmett, right, last thought before we go.
If you're going back in time, put money in Apple, and other financial tips will come in later episodes.
That reminds me of Arrested Development. I can just imagine there's money in the banana stand, and then it's just actually
oh yes,
the banana stand is full of money. So if someone says put money in Apple, someone goes back, hollows out an apple, and just puts their money in there.
Yeah, just they give complete misunderstanding. It's like, oh, you meant the company.
Yeah.
I bought an apple orchard.
I thought you meant
What?
goggles. I thought you meant goggles, not Google. I put my
No.
money in my goggles. All right. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.